Tonight, Broken Hill firearm owners to be targeted by a new police operation, and a Port Lincoln brewed beer crowned one of the best in the world.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, thanks for your company this Thursday evening. Broken Hill police say they will be targeting the safe storage of firearms during a statewide operation this month. The aim is to reduce the number of firearm thefts from homes and properties.
Lock them away or face the consequences.
So Operation Armour, which was launched in June this year, is very much focused on a couple of things: preventing disrupting firearm thefts.
Broken Hill Police are taking part in the campaign targeting firearm theft in regional areas. Officers say firearms that are not securely stored when not in use make easy opportunities for thieves breaking in.
Part of our focus is encouraging law-abiding firearm owners that will be coming out doing safe storage inspections.
Detective Inspector Fuller says the operation gives gun owners a chance to check their storages. Safes need to meet requirements, firearms need to be stored unloaded, and ammunition needs to be stored separately.
And even if you're travelling around, unless you're actually using your firearm to destroy stock or you're hunting at the time, you're up to date that you shouldn't be driving around in your car with a firearm that's loaded.
Failing to meet the legal storage requirement could result in hefty fines or even prison time. Police say it's also a good time for owners to check all their firearms are registered. Patrick Ryanke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Police have confirmed a substance discovered at the Port Augusta prison yesterday was not dangerous. The unknown white powder was found by staff during mail sorting, sending the administration section into lockdown for several hours. Authorities have today determined the material not to be lethal or chemical. Still in Port Augusta, and police are warning residents to be vigilant around their homes after 4 youths were arrested following a break-in at Port Augusta West. Police caught the group breaking into a home on Hercombe Crescent yesterday afternoon. A glass door was smashed, but authorities believe nothing was stolen. 3 of the offenders were bailed, while the other was remanded in custody after breaching bail. They'll face court at a later date. A 47-year-old Wireless Stewart man has been charged with drink driving after being caught 3 times the legal limit Tuesday just after 2 p.m. Police stopped a white Toyota Corolla on Bevan Crescent in Wireless Stewart, with the driver allegedly recording a reading of .169. Checks revealed he was also driving unlicensed and unregistered. He'll appear in court at a later date. Ratepayers have raised their concerns over Whyalla City Council's 2019 draft budget at an information session last night. Council has begun public consultation ahead of final approval.
Community members sharing their opinion on the Whyalla City Council draft budget.
They took an opportunity to share with Council, what they thought was the positives out of the budget, and also took the opportunity to share with Council some of their concerns.
This budget has a focus on upgrading roads and infrastructure, and Council's proposed a 4% ratepayer rise, a popular debate at the evening.
Varying from no, we don't want any rate rise, through to happy with 4%, but we want some more say about how the funds are spent.
And it should be capped at CPI, and CPI is currently 1.3%. Rates shouldn't be raised more than CPI.
The Ratepayers Association is rallying against the price increase.
The city of Whyalla is on its knees, and the residents cannot afford these rate rises of 3 times that of CPI.
The council says they're taking public feedback until 13th of June, and a final budget will be released in the following weeks.
But the public are more than welcome to keep writing into us on the email, on the submission sheets, so that we get as much feedback as we can.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Broken Hill MP Roy Butler wants the state government to lower the minimum kangaroo carcass weight to encourage commercial harvesting. He says kangaroos are currently suffering slow deaths.
They are a typical sight in outback Australia, but right now they've got it tough.
This will take a little bit of pressure off the farmers, as well as ensure that we don't have mass numbers of kangaroos starving to death, which obviously is not a good outcome for anyone.
Mr Butler says the minimum harvested kangaroo carcass weight should be lowered from 15 to 13 kilograms to encourage commercial harvesting. He says they're slowly dying due to a lack of water and feed in the far west. While it's a sad reality environmentally, for commercial harvesters it's also taking its toll.
People have to drive several hours to get to an area where they can where they can harvest kangaroos. There's additional fuel costs, there's additional risk being on the road late at night, all those sorts of things.
Not everyone's in favour though. Humane Society International didn't mince words in a statement today, calling commercial kangaroo killing the largest wildlife slaughter in the world. They say shooting occurs away from scrutiny, leading to injuries from non-lethal shots. Mr Butler says his request has been sent to the state's Agriculture Minister. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, road safety the focus at a Port Augusta high school, and scientists unlock the mystery of how big great white sharks really are. Welcome back. Students at a Port Augusta secondary school have been warned about driving dangerously. They've taken part in a safety forum that's aimed at changing young motorist behaviour.
A road safety forum with a clear and directed message.
They get to choose the risks on the roads that they want to take, but they don't get to choose those consequences.
4 people die on our roads nationwide every day, and for these 60 Year 11 students in Port Augusta, that could mean 4 of their classmates.
We talk about drivers as well as pedestrians, as well as passengers in vehicles, cyclists.
Eli Mern was very nearly one of those tragic cases. Driving erratically on a wet and windy road, he lost control of his car.
Hit 2 trees. My then girlfriend was extremely lucky to walk away. Haven't seen her since.
The crash leaving him with permanent brain injuries. He's now using his story to drive home the message to our youngest road users.
These guys are at the age where their potential is boundless. I don't want any doors to be closed for them.
The plea for care comes in the wake of South Australia's horror start to the year, where 52 lives have been tragically cut short, including a 25-year-old man in Port Pirie just last week. These sessions aiming to be a step towards curbing those numbers.
It can be an emotional roller coaster for the kids, but we find it's those emotions that help the message sink in and stay there.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Kadina police are asking the public to be on the lookout following a series of break-ins targeting businesses in the Copper Coast area. In the past week, surf clothing, electronic equipment and toolboxes have been reported stolen from 3 separate stores in Kadina and Moonta. Police are asking anyone with information to contact the Police Assistance Line on 131 444. Kadina is hosting a 3-day summit focusing on tourist visitor centres. The annual event showcasing the Yorke Peninsula's favourite destinations to experts from across South Australia.
Tourists in the know. More than 60 tourism industry leaders have come together for an annual Visitors Centres conference in Kadina.
Yorke Peninsula has been chosen as the region to host this year's conference. It's an annual event which is held around South Australia.
Delegates from numerous information centres meeting to help hatch ideas and pitch possible inclusions for their region's most visited destinations. Keynote speakers encouraging an increased use of technology to attract visitors to their patch.
Visitor information centres are very important. They're often the first port of call for tourists into the area.
From tram rides to gin tastings, the 3-day event was putting everything uniquely YP on the map.
It gives us an opportunity to showcase to our peers what we have to offer in our area and hopefully attract further visitation in the future.
Presenters at the conference encouraging local tourist operators to embrace the region's unique historical culture.
It is really nice to be able to showcase our region to all of these people that work in the tourism industry.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A new study has found scientists to be better experts in estimating the size of great white sharks than tourists or even staff from shark cage diving companies. The research helping experts to better monitor shark behaviour.
They're the predator of the deep, but do you know how big they are? According to a Flinders Uni study, not many people actually do.
The general public seem to struggle the most with their accuracy, which is not surprising. And on average, they came within half a metre of the true length of the white sharks.
Scientists teamed up with Port Lincoln shark cage diving companies for 9 months, recording tourists and local predictions. The research helping scientists to better protect the vulnerable species.
They're really important as a species to gather data on, and length is very detailing. It can tell us the sort of habitat they use, what maybe is making up their diet, where they're spending their time.
Using specialised stereo cameras, experts accurately measured and recorded over 35 different shark measurements before comparing them to the predictions.
They weren't always overestimating the size of the sharks. In fact, for the larger sharks, they were actually underestimating.
The results even shocking the shark cage diving companies.
Learning the size that they were measured to be with those stereo cameras, it really brought about some surprise.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still not getting anywhere near them in the water. A new form of stroke treatment is now available at Port Pirie Hospital, giving locals in the mid-north a greater chance of survival. It's hoped that the rollout will help shorten response times.
Life-saving medication now available for stroke patients in the mid-north. It's a new regional service that'll see patients now receive treatment at Port Pirie Hospital before being moved to Adelaide.
The treatment that we're instigating here at Port Pirie is thrombolysis for stroke patients.
85% of stroke sufferers present with an ischemic attack, a condition where blood is blocked from reaching the brain's tissue. Thrombolytic therapy helps break down clots, a vital treatment which needs to occur within the first 4 hours of stroke symptoms.
To break down the blockage and then reinstitute the blood flow to the brain.
Hospital staff will have the guidance of neurologists, who will be able to assist via video link between the hospital and Adelaide.
Everyone is actually on the same page, so that person gets treated, like from low to go, very, very quickly.
Local paramedics also receiving new training.
If we can minimise the time that the patient is not receiving, then the better outcome is more likely.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us, our fishing experts will tell us what's biting in the Gulf, and Brett will have the weekend weather details. Hello again. Port Lincoln's local beer garden has taken out gold at this year's International Beer Awards. The brewery's Salty Session crowned one of the best low-alcohol beers in Australia.
It's the local beer taking out gold on the international stage.
We got a gold medal for our Salty Session Ale, so that was the festival beer that we created last year, so 3.5%, really easy to drink beer.
The team at Beer Garden Brewing flying to Melbourne to compete in the biggest beer competition in the Southern Hemisphere, the event receiving more than 2,500 entries from around the world.
It's like the competition that people use, I guess, to calibrate where they're sitting. It's really useful for quality control. And yeah, just thrilled to end up where we did.
From brewing to fermenting to finally putting it in the keg, it takes the team around 3 weeks. The Salty Session Ale first launched last year as part of the Salt Festival. Since then, the team says it's become one of their most popular beers.
The Salty Session Ale is definitely the pick of the bunch, behind the Cage Diver IPA, which is really good.
I love it. That's all I drink when I'm down here, is the Salty Session.
The brewery also won 4 silver, a performance owners are thrilled with.
It's all Australian malt and hops, so yeah, we're really proud of it.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Well done, guys. I can't wait for Nathan to send me a 6-pack. Time to check what's biting in the Spencer Gulf. Here's our fishing experts with their tips for the week.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jaw of the North. Well, it's been a big school of snapper down around the powerhouse. Haven't heard anyone catch them, but they've certainly seen them, and there is a bit of footage floating around if you keep an eye out for that. Squid are still around in really good numbers, out in the deeper banks and obviously off the jetties during the night time as well. There's some nice snook in around the creeks as well. And that's all we have from the Jaw of the North.
We've
We've got King George whiting happening at this particular moment around the Third Creek patches, working hard over to Eastern Shoal as well. You'll get bigger ones. On the northern side of Eastern Shoal, there is a razorfish bed closer to the pole. You'll get a few fish there, and if you go to the top end of Ward Spit, you'll also get some nice big fish as well. Come round, there's still been some yellowfin whiting, which I'm amazed that they're even here. The water's too cold for me to go for a swim, but they are still here. And so have a crack at that. And squid just out by the Crosty, you'll get yourself a feed.
Great numbers of squid coming in right through Whyalla. Best areas again have been down towards the Mount Young grounds. Still some good sized whiting down amongst those grounds as well. A little bit further out there has been a few good snapper coming out from around the Eastern Shoal grounds and also out towards Port Pirie. Also worth a try around the Ward Spit area for snapper this time of the year as well. Along Point Lowly coastline, again some nice salmon being boated and off the shore as well.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Well, the best reports of whiting we've had over the past week have been deep in the proper, so from the Monument around to Tulka. There's been quite a few salmon trout caught off of the main wharf and also out around Boston Island. Moving over to Coffin Bay, whiting continue to run pretty well out around the Farm Beach grounds, and they're fairly widespread through that area, and there's been some gummy sharks within the bay system at Coffins. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you again with more fishing tips next week.
And time to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Britt.
Thanks, John. Well, after a frosty start to the day at Port Pirie and Broken Hill, it's been fine and mostly sunny across the region. Port Augusta warmed up to 17 degrees today, Port Pirie 16, Whyalla, Port Lincoln and Adelaide all 15, Broken Hill 13. Looking to the satellite now, where the strong high over the south of South Australia continues to move towards the east, reaching Victoria tomorrow. On the waters, northerly winds at up to 20 knots with seas at 1 metre, and tomorrow's sunrise is just before 7:20. We can expect areas of morning frost at Port Augusta, Whyalla, Woodna, Port Pirie and Clare tomorrow, ahead of a mostly sunny day. Port Augusta looking at a maximum of 18 degrees, Woodna and Port Pirie 17, Whyalla, Port Lincoln, Coffin Bay, Corn, Cleve and Adelaide all 16, Broken Hill and Kadina 15, with Clare at 14 degrees. And the weekend is looking mostly fine with showers expected on Sunday. Port Lincoln, Cleve and Woodna all looking at maximums around 17 degrees. Whyalla and Port Augusta both fine on Saturday with a slight chance of showers on Sunday, otherwise cloudy. Kadina with a top of 17 and a 60% chance of showers on Sunday. Much the same for Port Pirie and Clare with partly cloudy conditions on Saturday ahead of a wet Sunday. And a sunny start to the weekend at Broken Hill ahead of a fine day on Sunday. And John, that's all from me. I'll be back later this evening with an update, but for now, it's back to you.
Thanks, Britt. And that's the local news this Thursday evening. Thanks so much for your company. I'll have some updates later on in the evening, but until then, enjoy your evening's viewing here on 7. On behalf of the team, it's good night.